A steel boss was walking through his mill when he caught a group of workers smoking directly beneath a large "no smoking" sign. Most bosses would have pointed at the sign and snapped, "Can't you read?" He did something completely different. He walked over, handed each man a cigar, and said, "I'd appreciate it, boys, if you'd smoke these outside." That was it. No lecture, no embarrassment, no public scolding, and those workers didn't just put out their cigarettes. They walked away respecting him even more. The technique he used reveals the difference between criticism that creates resentment and criticism that actually changes behavior. He called attention to the mistake without ever pointing a finger. The workers knew he had seen what they were doing. They knew the rule had been broken. But they also knew he had chosen to preserve their dignity rather than embarrass them. That's what made the lesson stick. The way you point out a mistake often determines whether someone improves or whether they spend the next week quietly resenting you. Most people assume direct criticism is the fastest path to correction. It feels efficient. Someone makes a mistake, you tell them exactly what they did wrong, and the problem should be solved. But human nature rarely works that way. The moment people feel attacked, their attention shifts away from the mistake and toward defending themselves. Pride rises, defenses appear. Instead of thinking about what happened, they're thinking about how unfairly they've been treated. You may have been completely right. The facts may be entirely on your side. But if the correction damages someone's sense of dignity, the lesson often gets lost. The criticism lands, the improvement doesn't. Now consider a different approach. A well-known department store owner was walking through his store when he noticed a customer standing at a counter, waiting for help. Nearby, several clerks were chatting among themselves and completely ignoring the customer. He could have called them over and demanded an explanation. He could have publicly corrected them. Instead, he quietly stepped behind the counter, helped the customer himself, completed the transaction, handed the sale to the clerks to wrap, and continued walking. Not one word of criticism was spoken. Yet every clerk understood exactly what had happened. No lecture would have communicated the lesson more clearly. No reprimand would have been remembered longer. By demonstrating the right behavior instead of attacking the wrong behavior, he allowed the employees to recognize the mistake for themselves. That's the power of indirect correction. Instead of forcing people into a defensive position, you guide them towards seeing the problem on their own. You ask questions instead of making accusations. You focus attention on the issue rather than on the person's shortcomings. You create an opportunity for improvement without creating unnecessary humiliation. People are far more willing to change when they don't feel threatened. Give someone a chance to save face and they'll often become eager to improve. Strip away their dignity and even the smallest correction can become a battle. There's an important distinction here. Indirect criticism doesn't mean avoiding honesty. It doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It simply means delivering the truth in a way that encourages growth instead of resistance. Unfortunately, many people misunderstand this idea. They think they're being gentle when they're actually disguising criticism. They start with praise and then immediately erase it with one small word, "but." You did a great job, but the compliment vanishes. The listener braces for impact. From that point forward, they hear only the criticism. Real indirect correction isn't a trick. It isn't manipulation. It isn't praise used as camouflage. It's a genuine effort to help someone recognize a mistake without making them feel small. That's why the steel boss's response worked. That's why the store owner's example worked. Both men focused on improving behavior while protecting dignity. And that's the lesson. You almost never need to embarrass someone in order to help them improve. The moment humiliation enters the picture, you've exchanged a small correction for a potentially lasting grudge. Point to the problem gently. Let people discover it. Give them a path forward with their pride intact. A cigar instead of a lecture, a quiet example instead of a scolding. The goal was never to prove you were right. The goal was to make things better. And people improve fastest when they feel respected while they're learning.